Hey, what's going on, everybody? Mr. Richard here, and welcome to the Rich Get Richard. I'm glad you're liking, glad you're following, glad you're subscribing, glad you following all me, all the time on all social media platforms, right? Yeah, it's just like a verification. I already know you're doing it. Anyways, question of the day is it's a real estate question. An individual messaged me and asked, "Hmm, what's the difference between a fourplex or a 4 unit or in 5 units?" And surprisingly, via funding, financing, on paper, taxes, and down payment, they're two completely different things, right? They're two completely different things. So I'm gonna break them down for you. You're gonna learn a little bit. Make sure you're following. Make sure you're liking. Hope you learn something. It's gonna be a shorter video. I'm gonna try to get to the point. Okay. So when it comes to real estate can be broken up into pretty much 2/3 categories, depending on how you look at it. One is residential, and the other is commercial. I'll talk about residential first because it's a little easier to comprehend. Residential is a primary place that an individual resides in that pertains to or contains one, two, three, or 4 units. So a single home, a duplex, 2 units, triplex, 3 units, fourplex is considered residential and can be financed as a single individual, meaning you bought 1 unit, a single home, you bought 2 units, duplex, triplex, quadplex, they all get financed under a single individual. So if you wanted to buy a triplex or a fourplex as your first unit, you can use what's called an FHA home loan. And since it's a residential, you live in one of the units, you only have to put 3.5% down. Zane. That's good. You buy an asset that has 3 other tenants. You live in a unit. You only have to put 3.5% down. So let's say if an apartment fourplex has 4 units, you pretty much get into that asset for it's $100,000. You can get into that asset for $3,500. There isn't an asset in the world that you can get into that cheap that produces you income. If you can find them, and it makes financial sense, fourplexes are the way to go, especially for your first home. Now, if it's not your first home and you want to just to buy it and live in it, then that's called a traditional loan or a conventional loan. That will be 5% down, which still, to get a single family home, duplex, fourplex, quadplex, triplex, or whatever you want to call them, you're still putting 5% down. You're controlling $100,000 of an asset for $5,000 down, 5%, still a good deal. If the rent pays you everything to cover all your bills, which generally they won't, but you'll still make good money. Next, you have what's called 5 units or higher. 5 units or more doesn't fall onto the residential side. They fall under the commercial side. When you get into investments or commercial lending, you have to put way more money down. Even if you live in it, they don't care. Doesn't work like that. You can't say, "Oh, I'm gonna buy this apartment complex. It has 15 units. I'm gonna live in one of the units, so I want a FHA. This is my first property I bought. I want an FHA loan. I want 3.5% down on a $2 million apartment." Forget about it. It ain't happening. So they don't care how much it costs. They don't care if you live in it or not. They don't care about the location. 5 units or more is a commercial property and will be financed as such. Commercial properties can range down payment wise 20 to 25%. So just think about it like that. So let's say the 5 units is $100,000. You have to put $20,000 to $25,000 down to get that property. So let's think about it. If you bought a fourplex for $100,000, that's $5,000 down if you lived in a unit. And then you waited a year, you bought another fourplex with $5,000 down, 5%. You pretty much control $200,000 with 10%. Versus you bought an eightplex, which is pretty much 2 fours. Now you got to put $20,000, 20% down, which is $40,000 to get that property. So to a lot of investors, it makes more sense to buy single family homes. But if you buy it as an investment property, you're going to have to put 20% down regardless. So all investment properties that you do not reside in, it's not residential no more, it's considered an investment property. All commercial properties are considered investment properties, but not all residentials are considered investment properties. But if you do not reside in that property or live in it, it's considered a investment property. So all investment properties will be 20% down. It's kind of crappy though, right? So say if you buy a house that you don't live in and it's a single family home, it's 20%. You buy an apartment complex that you don't live in, 20%. You buy a fourplex that you do live in, and that's your first time buying a house, 3.5%. Second time buying a house, 5%. So you can use that information however you want to whenever you're going out looking for properties. But there's other ways you kind of can get around the down payment. You can do, you can get hard money, renovate the property, refinance, and then leave the equity in the property, which you're going to have equity in the property anyways if you get a down payment. Or you can do what's called a DSCR loan. Some DSCR loans, you only have to put like 5-10% down, and the payments that's coming in will cover the mortgage. And then you just leave the 10% in there and whatever other equity is in there. You get away with not putting as much down, but you have a lot of dead equity in the deal. And what's crazy about DSCR loans, the interest rates are so high and the prices are so high, it's kind of hard to even find a deal that DSCR even qualifies for. Which I'm not saying that they're not out there. It's just harder. 2015, 16, 17, you can get a DSCR loan 8 days out of the week. Now, it's like crumbs falling off the table. You can find them. You just got to look a little harder. So to the individual who asked that question, I hope that answered it. I really can't tell you which way to go to. Some people like a lot of single family homes. Some people like fourplexes because they can just live in a unit and get a lower down payment. Some people like only commercial. But you got to take consideration too, whenever you are looking at commercial, the biggest pool of buyers are looking at 5 units to about 18 units. So you're pretty much jumping in the ocean with every shark investor, real estate guru out there when you get from 5 units to about 20 units, right? A lot of those guys, that's their meat and potatoes, right? And then like the 20 and higher are pretty much the Wall Street execs or the hedge funds, the big group that buys multiple units. You're going to be competing with those guys. But the average Joes are looking for 5 units to 5 units to 20 units. A lot of investors don't even look at like single family homes unless they buy them in a bundle. And fourplexes, to me personally, is kind of that sweet spot. They don't care. If they're going to have to put investment property, they're going to have to put 20% down on a 4 unit. They might as well put 20% down because they're not living in it. If they're going to put 20% down on a fourplex, they might as well put 20% down on an eightplex and get more cash flow. So I kind of talked to you about the difference between fourplexes and fiveplexes. I talked to you the difference between commercial property, residential, single family, duplex, fourplex, quadplex. And I talked to you about different assets that individuals like to target and how much requirements for a down payment. I hope you found value in this. If you have, please make sure you liking and following these type of videos because I post content all the time. And make sure you join the free webinar that I host. I try to host every Wednesday. And also, too, if you get a message from me saying I have an investment opportunity to buy some crypto or some random ass shit and double your money, the money gonna be guaranteed. It ain't me. I don't even talk like that. I'm talking about guarantee you any amount of money in 24 hours. If that was the case, I'll just liquidate the millions of dollars I got and put into it and not even tell you about it to get $200 out of you. That shit don't even make any sense. If you truly think about it. So be safe out there. There's a lot of scammers and trash out there, and don't fall for it. But Abida Zan, hope you found value. Have a good one.